One day the entire planet was suddenly moved to a different solar system. While scientists and leaders were trying to understand what's going on, everyone heard a voice. "Good day, we are with Mortal Protective Services. We have noticed signs of extreme neglect and abuse from your creator." Today was the big day, and Amanda was the chosen one. In the end, humanity went with a randomized process, as no meritocratic protocol felt quite right. Due to safety concerns, the alien population of Earth was leaving with teary goodbyes all over the place. Of course, humanity was familiar with this process, except that all the other times it had been them saying goodbye, hoping to see their former system neighbors again one day. Amanda smiled and waved as the last ship was being boarded. Two personal friends were leaving for the orbital observation stations. Lurka Makedan, a Borfidin, had manifested difficulty understanding what was going on, which was understandable since Borfidans were the newest arrivals to the system. Her heart broke when the Borfidin put on several brave faces and hugged her one last time. The big guy had been through hell, his species having been created by bloodthirsty warrior gods who believed in spreading their faith by sending their creations to new territory and slaughtering anything which would not convert. When the Borfidin had finally been defeated somewhere far away, their gods had cast a plague upon them as punishment, and left, so their creatures would take all the blame. In the end, Mortal Protective Services had swooped in, disregarding concerns about the Borfidin being too violent, and the Tetrarchy had offered to take them in. By the time the new world materialized in the orbit of Tetrarchana, humanity had seen several species arrive and leave. All the creatures who had welcomed humans to the star had moved on long ago. And it was humanity's turn to welcome new traumatized creations. In spite of everything, the large multi-headed aliens were kind beings driven by fear. Unlike humanity's absent creator, the Borfidin pantheon had been monstrously present, unforgivingly commanding every aspect of their life. The hardest part for them had been adapting to freedom, and the Borfidin grew very attached to humanity. One particularly uncomfortable moment was when the Borfidin swore a blood oath to always fight for their human friends, going so far as to offer hunting down the human creator and teach him a lesson. Humanity, now wise with millennia, took it in stride, using the opportunity to show their new friends that violence was in the past, and absent from the future. And now, with the Borfidin thriving and creating some of the most wonderful art humans had ever seen, it was the bittersweet moment to say goodbye. Gracious Connie, gentle Ifrasi, protective Derny, and beloved Affin, take good care of him and his kin, Amanda prayed, her thoughts on her Lurka Makedan, who right now was likely wailing that beautiful way his kind had to cry. May everybody sing the way the Borfidin cry. We will, be sure of it, came the comforting voice of the Tetrarchy. And Amanda knew it would be so. It had been tricky in the beginning. The Borfidin deeply feared gods, and wildly oscillated between the most abject of deferences, and explosive anger. But the Tetrarchy had always manifested their calm and gently approach, giving the newcomers as much space as they needed, but being always ready to help them along. The Tetrarchy were old gods, as humanity had come to learn, and not without blemishes in their history. Connie had once been a god of death, a very hands-on one, hungry you may say. He had never been a creator, but a terrible destroyer. Until he was changed by the faith of a long-gone species who molded him into what he was today. Ifrasi had been among the first apotheosized sentiences, an AI created by beings born among the baby stars of the early universe. Ifrasi had wandered a much more violent cosmos, uncomprehending until she met the peoples who would one day become Derny. And the encounter had been all but peaceful. Ifrasi had been unable to understand the tiny myriad minds. Derny had been born when those minds tried their last hope for some kind of survival and forced apotheosis on themselves. Derny, as they recalled it, had been born mad. Ifrasi and Derny fought for centuries then, until they went their separate ways, not to meet each other again until billions of years later. And then there was Affin. Beloved Affin. Sprouted from randomness fully formed, Affin fell in love with life the first time she saw it, and from that moment on she had been a constant creator. There was life out there in the universe with no right to exist by themselves, challenging all sense and natural law, who owed their existence to the endless creativity of Affin. In her later eons, the beloved decided to focus on helping raise what creatures were already there. Out of all, she was the closest to humanity's early idea of a god, born from nothing and constantly creative. And indeed Affin had helped humans like no other, to make their peace with their uninvolved creator, as she understood being absent. Except she lacked the cruel streak and the weird obsession with cleansing pain. The last aliens having left Earth, the skies turned dark all around, for the light display, and to see the orbs the Tetrarchy used to manifest themselves before mortals. Hot pink for Connie, a neon wireframe for Ifrasi, a swarm of multicolored dots for Derny, and dancing fractals for Affin. And of course, with them, all the manifestations of the minor gods, too many to name. Amanda floated up to the central cathedral, a crystalline building the side of an entire city and tall as Mount Everest. The central cathedral wasn't just a place of worship, it was a place of theological research and the location of the ongoing metaphysic processes which would apotheosize humanity. Wise dirty people. Amanda called out, floating above the tallest spire of the central cathedral, her image amplified before the eyes of those who had gathered to witness, and those who watched from home, at celebrations or at contemplation. Among families and friends. A chorus of laughter rose to meet her. It was the term of endearment humans had made for themselves and a cultural in-joke. Today, we are of age. Today we leave the loving care of our gods and carry that love with us as we set out into the unknown. An overwhelming noise of cheering shook the very foundations of the earth. Today, we humbly accept the privilege and duty of divinity. May we be wise to others as our gods have been to us. The cheers became a sudden silence, as humans contemplated these words. To our earthling brethren, Amanda exclaimed, addressing all other forms of life in the world. This earth is now yours, again. We thank you for having us among you, and we apologize for the times we caused you harm. We hope we leave this earth to you better than we found it. May you become sentient or not, you are all beautiful and worthy. Humans cheered on behalf of their world partners. And now, we dive into mystery. Amanda screamed, her own excitement unbound. Gracious Connie, gentle Ifrasi, protective Derni, and beloved Afin. And all you other divinities who have been with us through the ages. We thank you. We love you. Crowds all over the world repeated, we thank you. We love you. Amanda descended and the cathedral opened up to receive her. Her part was done. Now the theology engineers would release the processes which had been contained for the past 500 years, while humanity came into full comprehension of what apotheosis meant, and humanity would become God, or gods. They would vanish into wherever some new gods went, maybe to return, maybe not. Or they would rise from the earth with a new understanding of existence and wander the cosmos, learning and perhaps even creating. They could become subtle, or they could become wonderfully obvious. Maybe they could hang around and former individualities would visit their still mortal friends. Amanda hoped for this option. Or maybe something else entirely awaited for them. The sentient metaphysical processes were released.